Chapter 421 I'll keep it safe for you, and give it back to you when you grow up. Part 4. The heaven and earth bank set sail to the skies above the endless sea, where a powerful beam of light crashed down, penetrating deep into the seabed and forming a massive passage. All the spirits in the temple, as well as the divine medicines, entered the heaven and earth bank through this passage. Inside the money exchange, Xiandao and Xiao stood in the square, looking at the rolling sea of clouds ahead, their expressions different. Xiao was more curious. She wanted to see just how many treasures were inside this temple. Xiandao, on the other hand, was staring at the rare and precious natural treasures that had not yet become sentient. 100,000 years. Millions of years. Millions of years. Countless. Xiandao looked down on those that were 10,000 years old. Inside the divine medicine hall, there were many treasures, a vast space, and various expansion spaces specifically for growing divine medicines. It took 3 whole days to transport all of these to the heaven and earth bank. It's obviously enormous. For the past 3 days, Xiandao has been all smiles, looking happier and happier. He promised the ginseng baby that he wouldn't touch any spirits that had become sentient, and Xiandao would definitely keep his word. He, being a sentient being, didn't touch any of them. But Xiandao was not so lenient with those who had not yet become spirits. In the huge plaza of the Heaven and Earth Money House, Xiandao met Ginseng Baby and his large group of companions. Master of Heaven and Earth Bank, you truly kept your promise. Ginseng Baby gave a thumbs up. Xiandao smiled slightly and asked, "Who is the oldest among you?" "I am the oldest here, having taken human form over 10 million years ago," said a massive willow tree, its branches swaying. "It took you over 10 million years to reach the emperor level?" Xiandao asked in confusion. The temple is sealed off from the outside world, and very little spiritual energy is transmitted in. If I were to break through in cultivation, I would instantly drain all the nutrients from the children, and they would not be able to be born. The willow tree explained. Xiandao understood, and he explained why it had taken the willow tree over 10 million years to reach the emperor level, and even then, it was only at the first level. "Money shop owner, you promised me you wouldn't harm us and would even provide us with shelter," Ginseng Baby cried out. Looking at the hundreds of sentient beings, Xiandao smiled slightly and said, "You can choose your place to stay in this endless mountain. The spiritual energy here is also very rich. I hope we can complement each other." "Thank you so much, moneylender." Willow bowed and expressed her gratitude. "No need, we're just following the contract. Now you can choose a suitable place, or anywhere you like, as long as no one lives there," Xiandao said with a smile. The willow tree expressed its gratitude once again, and the other spiritual creatures also thanked Xiandao. Just as the ginseng baby was about to express its gratitude, it suddenly realized something was wrong. All of these spirits are still here. Not one is missing. But what about his food rations? What about those ginseng roots that are hundreds of thousands, millions, or even tens of thousands of years old? Other things planted by the spirits have also disappeared. "Moneylender, where are my things?" Ginseng Baby asked. "What are you?" Xiandao asked. "My ginseng," the baby ginseng reminded Xian. "Oh, I've put those away for you. You're still young, so I'm keeping them for you. I'll give them to you when you're older," Xiandao explained carefully and patiently. Ginseng Baby looked at Xiandao suspiciously, feeling that something was not right. He just doesn't have a mother. If he did, he would definitely be able to figure out this kind of trick. The old man from Lushu was shrewd and knew he couldn't get these things back, so he just considered it rent and called out, "Leave them with the moneylender for now, and we'll go find a place to settle down." Willow Tree's shouts made Ginseng Baby give up on asking any further questions. He'll wait until he grows up to ask Xiandao for it. Xiandao and Xiao watched them leave before choosing a place to settle down. "Will you return the ginseng baby to him when he grows up?" Xiao asked Xian with a smile. Xiandao said calmly, "It takes a very long time for a spirit creature to grow up. Let's see again in 1,000,000 years, if it still remembers then. All 4 of Li Xiandao's archangels, as well as Tian Guangming, have returned. As soon as Tian Guangming returned, he entered the Time Palace and began his early seclusion, using a fossilized heart to break through to the Emperor realm. This fossilized heart is terrifying. It must have belonged to an unparalleled master who could suppress all the heavens, so that even after death, when the rest of the heart had turned to stone, it still possessed such powerful vitality. In Tian Guangming's dantian, each pulse activates fresh blood, surging around and accelerating the body's metabolism, clearing away some stubborn ailments. After that, the breakthroughs went very smoothly. Even the Emperor realm is utterly powerless before this fossilized heart. He stayed in the Hall of Time for 100 years before dawn broke. During those 100 years, he used the fossil heart to thoroughly cleanse his body. There were some scars on my body before. Now the scars have been removed, and his body has become crystalline, every cell, every drop of blood shimmering and changing. Tian Guangming is undergoing a transformation. However, he himself did not know to what extent this transformation would go. 100 years had passed since he entered the Hall of Time, but when he came out, he found that only 10 minutes had passed. Tian Guangming broke through to the Emperor level and felt happy. Master, are you also going to enter the Time Hall to cultivate? Tian Guangming was in high spirits when he saw Li Xiandao approaching and asked respectfully. That's right, you've broken through to the Emperor realm, not bad. Li Xiandao nodded, then noticed Tian Guangming's cultivation level and said with satisfaction. Thanks to Master for giving me this resource, otherwise I wouldn't have been able to compete with Lucifer and the others, Tian Guangming said sincerely, while also giving Lucifer and the others a little bit of emotional support. I just want to give the weak a chance. If you don't break through, you'll be completely eliminated, Li Xiandao said truthfully. Tian Guangming was startled, thinking to himself, that was close. Go back and get some rest. After I break through, I'll prepare and then we'll deal with Dragon Island, Li Xiandao said. No problem, Master. Please focus on your breakthrough. Tian Guangming immediately took his leave and quickly ran back. Li Xiandao entered the Heaven and Earth Bank, thought for a moment, and then directly burned off 1,000 years of his lifespan. 1,000 years of lifespan is burned to accelerate the Time Palace, and then another 1,000 years are spent peacefully cultivating within the Time Palace. Li Xiandao has come here to break through to the heavenly fate realm. Having previously absorbed 1 million top-grade spiritual energy dragon veins, Li Xiandao had integrated more than half of his 10 grotto heavens. However, it is far from reaching the level of a breakthrough. But now all the medicinal herbs in the Divine Medicine Hall that are hundreds of thousands, millions, or tens of millions of years old have been collected by Li Xiandao, and he sees hope for his breakthrough. This breakthrough is definitely going to happen. So Li Xiandao took these divine medicines and entered the Time Palace to begin his secluded cultivation. Chapter 422 The Realm of Destiny. Part 5. In the Realm of Destiny, the Emperor reigns supreme. But ultimately, becoming an emperor is a solitary endeavor. Humans can conquer nature, but the human body cannot compare to the vastness, immensity, and expansiveness of the universe. The only thing that can be compared is ideas. Human thought can expand without limit, but due to the limitations of the physical body, it is always confined to a certain area. Have you ever had all sorts of brilliant ideas, only to find in the end that they were just that, brilliant ideas? When your body can no longer support you to do certain things, at this time, your mind must break free, taking the heavens and earth as your body, the sun and moon as your eyes, and mountains and rivers as your veins, to make all sorts of incredible moves. This is the realm of destiny. Entrusting oneself to heaven and earth, encompassing all things, with broad thoughts and a vast universe. The heavenly mandate realm is also known as seas. What does seas mean? Struggling against heaven and earth, struggling against all living beings, struggling against all things. The more times they fight, the stronger their power becomes, far exceeding human comprehension. Immortal. This word naturally came to mind. Therefore, the heavenly mandate realm is a very magical realm below that of immortals. Li Xiandao could have entered earlier, but due to the 10 Great Grotto Heavens, he was restricted to the Emperor realm. This period of restriction wasn't without its advantages. Breakthroughs don't happen so quickly. Li Xiandao can think more about how to improve himself to reach a peak. To defy destiny is a perfectly normal state of being. However, Li Xiandao carried the 10 earths contained within his body. He went to seize the mandate of heaven, and that was certainly not a short-term one. Li Xiandao's goal was simple: to seize the mandate of heaven. Others try to seize destiny, but Li Xiandao wants to grasp it. The realm of destiny is right before our eyes, within reach, yet it also seems so far away, untouchable. Only through constant struggle and acquisition can one obtain something. But Li Xiandao was different. His soul was extremely vast. In the Hall of Time, he first experienced 100 years, frantically absorbing the food of spiritual objects such as ginseng babies. All of it was swallowed by Li Xiandao, and then his abdomen became like a large millstone, crushing it all. Li Xiandao's soul looked up at the heavens and earth, separated from his body, and saw countless great daros, densely packed. He reached out and grasped the great daros in his hand. Others seize the mandate of heaven by attaching themselves to the great Tao, but Li Xiandao is different. He doesn't want to attach himself. What's the point? He directly grasps the great Tao and makes it his own. The more times one seizes the destiny of heaven, the more great daros one can rely on. Generally, those who have just broken through to the destiny of heaven and are seizing it for the first time can rely on 1 or 2 daros to pass the test. Those who rely on 10 daros are considered to have outstanding talent, and those who rely on more than 10 daros are all peerless geniuses. Li Xiandao is different. He doesn't depend on others, he holds on to his own destiny. In his soul form, Li Xiandao was extremely domineering. He sat alone in the void and immediately suppressed 100 great daros. To grasp the great way is to make the great way submit. With this, Li Xiandao absorbed the 100 great daros into his soul, and his entire being began to transform. This transformation lasted for 900 years. Over the course of 900 years, Li Xiandao successively mastered 100 great daros, and then twice more, bringing his total number of great daros to 265. In total, there are 365 major roads. By combining auspicious numbers, Li Xiandao's cultivation reached perfection. The 10 earthly caves were also integrated into his body, making him extremely powerful. After the 10 earthly caves came the 365 great daros, which Li Xiandao grasped. Li Xiandao successfully broke through to the Emperor realm and entered the heavenly mandate realm. After breaking through, Li Xiandao walked out of the Time Palace and breathed a long sigh of relief, feeling as if he had been through another world. The 1,000 years he spent inside were entirely devoted to cultivation. Li Xiandao was so immersed in it that he could not extricate himself and made great progress. But only 10 minutes had passed after we came out. Li Xiandao could clearly feel that his lifespan had been reduced by 2,000 years within these 10 minutes. But it's no big deal. Li Xiandao could easily live for another 50,000 years. This is also why Li Xiandao has never practiced any techniques to prolong life. If the old Taoist priest were to break through to the heavenly fate realm, he could live for hundreds of thousands of years without dying. Li Xiandao arrived at the trading hall, looked at the empty hall, sat alone in a chair, and silently pondered. Having been in Juntian for some time, Li Xiandao originally planned to cause trouble for Dragon Island, but after being persuaded by Shao Qi and others, he decided to postpone it. However, now that Li Xiandao has broken through to the heavenly fate realm, his strength is unmatched, and he has the confidence to go to Dragon Island. As long as I don't cause a big fuss and force out the old monster on Dragon Island, there won't be any problems, Li Xiandao thought silently. Before breaking through to the Emperor realm, Li Xiandao was able to defeat the heart of the great demon who had seized the mandate of heaven 5 times. Now that he has broken through, Li Xiandao's strength has reached a new level. But he was still no match for a master who had seized destiny 8 or 9 times. Are there any true dragons on Dragon Island that have seized the mandate of heaven 8 or 9 times? Li Xiandao thought so. However, once they reach this level, they will not act rashly. As long as things don't escalate and they aren't forced to take action, everything will be fine. Blood Dragon, come to see me, Xiandao called softly with his eyes closed. The Blood Dragon, who was in seclusion attempting to break through to the heavenly fate realm, suddenly opened his eyes and said, "Yes, Master." A crimson light flashed, and a young man appeared outside the trading hall, clad in a crimson robe. Upon entering the hall, he immediately knelt on one knee and said in a cold voice, "Blood Dragon greets Master." "Get up," Xiandao waved his hand. "Thank you, Master." Blood Dragon stood up and looked calmly at Xiandao. "Your current cultivation level is at the peak of the Emperor realm. With your Blood Dragon combat power, killing someone at the heavenly fate realm would be a piece of cake. Do you want revenge?" Xiandao asked. Blood Dragon has been working very hard during this time, constantly improving himself and adapting to the power of his surging bloodline. "Revenge, I really want it," Blood Dragon said firmly. "I know you really want it. Now, would you be willing to go to Dragon Island to ask for the Great Wilderness Starfall?" Xiandao asked. Great Wilderness Starfall is the immortal artifact that Jin Wudi borrowed. It is extremely powerful, but it was taken by the Fire Dragon clan chief and he refuses to return it. Sending Blood Dragon to retrieve the Great Wilderness Starfall is to force him to confront his father, the patriarch of the Fire Dragon clan. Blood Dragon raised his head, his eyes resolute, and declared firmly, "Blood Dragon will definitely retrieve Great Wilderness Starfall for Master." "Very good. You are free to move around as long as you bring back the Great Wilderness Starfall." Xiandao nodded in satisfaction. "Master, I'll go right away." Blood Dragon clasped his hands in a fist salute, turned and left. "Aren't you going to bring any friends?" Xiandao asked. Blood Dragon's back was thin but very upright. He said, "No need. This is my family's matter. I will serve my master wholeheartedly after I have dealt with it." Xiandao watched the Blood Dragon leave and nodded in satisfaction. Just then Xiaoqi arrived and said, "We have a guest." Chapter 423 The Bloodline of the Ancestral Dragon. Part 6. Just as they were seeing the Blood Dragon off, a new guest arrived. Xiandao looked at Xiaoqi and asked, "Is the person who came a new guest?" "Yes, a new guest, a young dragon from Dragon Island," Xiaoqi nodded. "A young dragon from Dragon Island?" Xiandao stood up in surprise. He had just sent the Blood Dragon to Dragon Island, and unexpectedly, a guest from Dragon Island arrived immediately. "Get ready to receive the guest," Xiandao said immediately, eager to know the background of this new guest. Xiaoqi nodded and said, "I'll go pick him up." Xiandao changed his clothes, put on a mask, and appeared in the trading hall. Not long after Xiandao sat down, Xiaoqi arrived, bringing a little boy with him. This little boy was only 10 years old. In the 9 heavens and 10 earths, a child of 10 years old is already quite old if he is developing normally. After all, cultivation can accelerate development. Some people get married at 12 and have children at 13. But the child in front of me, who was about 10 years old, looked no different from a 6 or 7-year-old. He was very thin and quiet, with fair skin, and looked very pleasant. This is a very ordinary child. This was Xiandao's first impression, but when he saw the child's forehead, he discovered a pair of dragon horns. The tiny dragon horns were hidden by the child's hair on his forehead and could not be seen unless you looked closely. However, upon closer inspection, one can still discover the differences. This child is a young dragon. The fact that a young dragon can transform into human form at such a young age demonstrates the richness of its bloodline. It should be noted that Blood Dragon was only able to transform into human form after following Xiandao, obtaining the bloodline bead, and diligently cultivating. For more than 10,000 years prior, the Blood Dragon was unable to transform into human form. The young dragon before them had only just reached the saint realm. It was still a lesser saint, not a greater saint. But he transformed into human form. This is something only dragon sons and grandsons with extremely strong bloodlines could do. Absolutely not. So this seemingly quiet child. Li Xiandao dared not underestimate him. His parents might very well be supreme masters among the dragon clan. Little friend, sit down. Li Xiandao invited him to sit down. The child sat down obediently, looked at Li Xiandao, and asked curiously, "Can you really grant me any wish?" Li Xiandao shook his head and said, "We are not here to fulfill your wishes. We are a place for exchange. You give something in exchange for what you want. It is a mutually beneficial arrangement. Once you agree and sign the contract, you cannot go back on your word." Upon hearing this, the child nodded and said, "That's fair. I'd like to make a deal with you." Although she doesn't seem particularly imposing and is rather quiet, she has a clear mind and strong language skills. "Before we make a deal, please introduce yourself." "I need to have a clear understanding of you," Li Xiandao said calmly. "My name is Ao Yun. I am a true dragon on Dragon Island." "My true form is an ancestral dragon," Ao Yun said softly. "The ancestral dragon," Li Xiandao exclaimed in surprise, never expecting to see the young ancestral dragon. Among the dragon race, ancestral dragons are very rare. Many people regard this as a lifelong goal, striving to cultivate diligently, hoping to use immense power to reverse their bloodline and become an ancestral dragon at the moment of immortality. Once the ancestral dragon grows up, it will be a hegemon in the immortal realm, a symbol of invincible power, and countless true dragons will want to become the ancestral dragon. And now, sitting in front of him is a child who claims to be the first emperor. Li Xiandao couldn't help but sigh. Reincarnation really is a skill. This child has something that many people envy their whole lives, something they might struggle their whole lives to obtain, right from the moment he was born. Since you are the ancestral dragon, the dragon clan should value you highly. You can ask the dragon clan for help if you need anything, Li Xiandao said after regaining his composure following his initial surprise. The dragons will neither help me nor agree to what I want to do, Ao Yun said, shaking his head with absolute certainty. When the dragons refused to help him, he went to the Heaven and Earth money shop. Li Xiandao laughed and said, "Then you've come to the right place. My Heaven and Earth money house is good in every way. As long as you can afford the price, I will help you fulfill your wish." "Tell me, what is your deal?" Li Xiandao asked. "I want you to save my brother," Ao Yun said. "Your brother?" Li Xiandao raised an eyebrow. "Yes, my brother, my own brother." Ao Yun nodded. "Is it also the bloodline of the ancestral dragon?" Li Xiandao asked. "No, he is a dragon." Ao Yun sighed helplessly, his expression melancholy. "You are of the ancestral dragon bloodline, and you will surely be able to roam the 9 heavens after you come of age. Your brother, however, is a flood dragon. Isn't that a bit too different?" Li Xiandao asked, puzzled. "If they are half-siblings, then that's understandable. She is a mother. Could they be half-siblings? Our father is the patriarch of the Divine Dragon Clan, and is the undisputed #1 among the 8 great dragon clans," Ao Yun explained. Li Xiandao blinked and asked, "Then why? Why is it that even though both parents are the same, you have the bloodline of the ancestral dragon, while your brother has the bloodline of the flood dragon? Everyone says that I absorbed my brother's bloodline, which caused him to be born first. We should have been born together, so I feel very guilty," Ao Yun said softly, lowering her head. "Okay, so how is your brother now? Why do you want me to save him?" Li Xiandao asked, puzzled. "My brother is going to participate in the Dragon Clan's 10,000 Dragons tournament and challenge others. But his bloodline is not good and his cultivation is not high. He will definitely be beaten to death," Ao Yun said worriedly. "Why don't you just not participate?" Li Xiandao said. "If I don't participate and don't win a prize, my brother will be kicked out and will never be able to return to Dragon Island. Then I will never be able to see him again," Ao Yun said sadly. Li Xiandao understood. This was just like the blood dragon back then. Its descendants with imperfect bloodlines would be driven out of Dragon Island. The only difference is that after being driven out of Dragon Island, Blood Dragon was also suppressed by his 9 brothers and imprisoned in the 10 earthly realms. If he hadn't met Li Xiandao, he would never have been able to rise again. Aoyun's brother met a good younger brother who even came to Chendi money shop for his brother's safety. So, is it better to protect your brother's life or to help him achieve success? Li Xiandao asked more carefully. Help my brother get a good ranking. Aoyun thought for a moment and said firmly. He didn't want his brother to be eliminated from Dragon Island, because then he would never see his brother again. No problem, but what price are you willing to pay? Li Xiandao asked, spreading his hands. What do you need? Let me see if I have it. Aoyun's face lit up with joy when he heard that Li Xiandao could help. I don't care about magic weapons right now, and you're too young. The only thing I'd be interested in is your ancestral dragon bloodline, Li Xiandao said calmly. You want my ancestral dragon bloodline? Aoyun's expression changed, and he asked warily. Chapter 424 10 Drops of Essence Blood. Part 7. Aoyun looked at Li Xiandao with great vigilance. The bloodline of the ancestral dragon is very precious. In the entire dragon island of Juntion, he is the only one with the bloodline of the ancestral dragon. He is undoubtedly the treasure of Dragon Island. Surprisingly, this child wasn't spoiled, nor did he become unruly or lawless. On the contrary, he was quiet and gentle, and if you didn't look closely, you would never believe that he was a descendant of the ancestral dragon. This is very rare, and it shows that this child's character can truly be cultivated. Bloodline is an innate advantage, while personality is an acquired advantage. Li Xiandao liked Aoyun's personality very much. I don't want your ancestral dragon bloodline, I just want your ancestral dragon essence, Li Xiandao said calmly. The essence blood of the ancestral dragon? Aoyun was taken aback, and his vigilance gradually relaxed. Yes. Li Xiandao nodded. What do you want my ancestral dragon's essence blood for? Aoyun asked. To incubate something. Li Xiandao gave an ambiguous answer. In reality, Li Xiandao wanted to hatch the dragon egg he had obtained from the Flame King in the Battle of Heaven and Earth. Infernal Fire Dragon. Li Xiandao obtained 9 dragon eggs at the beginning and stored them in the Heaven and Earth Bank, without having the opportunity to hatch them. Xiaoqi did try, but none of them could hatch. The eggs of the Infernal Fire Dragon have an extremely high tolerance for damage, reaching an unbelievable level. The Infernal Fire Dragon is an ancient dragon race, belonging to the primordial dragon race, which is different from the dragon race of today. Compared to the current fire dragon, the Infernal Fire Dragon was incredibly ferocious. Comparing the current fire dragon to the Infernal Fire Dragon is like an adult fighting with a child. This is bullying. Li Xiandao had always wanted to hatch these dragon eggs to enhance the fighting strength of the Heaven and Earth Bank. Unfortunately, a suitable opportunity was not found. Meanwhile, these dragon eggs were frantically absorbing the energy of the Heaven and Earth Bank to replenish themselves. Now, these dragon eggs have grown much larger, and Li Xiandao needs to take them seriously. Coincidentally, the bloodline of the ancestral dragon arrived. The bloodline of the ancestral dragon can contend with, or even suppress, the Infernal Fire Dragon. After all dragons revere the same ancestral dragon. When the blood dragon matures, it can rival the ancestral dragon, but no one reveres it. Because blood dragons are so rare. Although the ancestral dragon is not rare, it has almost become extinct in the 9 heavens and 10 earths in recent years. Li Xiandao wondered if Aoyun was the only ancestral dragon in the 9 heavens and 10 earths. It's a living ancestral dragon, not a dead corpse. Regardless of whether it's true or not, and regardless of whether Aoyun is young or not, we'll extract some of the ancestral dragon's essence blood and use it to hatch 9 dragon eggs to obtain 9 hellfire dragons. Aoyun looked at Li Xiandao and fell into deep thought. I've given you the essence of the ancestral dragon. How will you help my brother? Aoyun asked a very practical question. But this problem also indicates that his heart is beginning to waver. Li Xiandao said confidently, as long as you agree, I will naturally find a way to help your brother get a good ranking and stay on Dragon Island. I need to know the specific method, Aoyun said firmly, without the slightest intention to back down. Li Xiandao patiently explained. The specific plan is that a blood dragon on Dragon Island will guide your brother and help him achieve a good ranking. Once that's done, our contract will be complete. Blood dragon. Ao Yun stood up in surprise and looked at Li Xiandao. This was the first time he had stood up in surprise since entering the Tiandi money shop. His expression exaggerated. This shows how formidable Blood Dragon's reputation was. Yes, Blood Dragon, you're in charge of giving him an identity so he can guide your brother and help him achieve a good ranking, Li Xiandao said. Where did you come from, Blood Dragon? My dragon clan has only ever had one blood dragon. According to the records, in its later stages, a blood dragon is immortal and indestructible. It takes at least 100 top experts to capture it, Ao Yun said excitedly. Clearly, he was a fan of blood dragons. Sign it. Once you've signed it, go back and wait patiently. Blood Dragon has already set off, and you'll be able to see him soon. Li Xiandao pushed the contract that Xiao Qi had prepared forward. I handed him a pen as well. Ao Yunhu calmed down and realized that this contract was of great significance, and he had to check it carefully. First, the second time, the third time, the 9th time. After carefully reading it 9 times, Ao Yun was certain that there were no problems with the contract, and then decisively signed it. While signing, Xiao Qi asked, "These 10 drops of essence blood are a great loss to you. After all, you have only just begun your cultivation. It's all right. Injuries are nothing. Being able to save my brother and see the legendary blood dragon makes even death worthwhile," Ao Yun said happily, quickly writing down his name. Li Xiandao looked at the contract and said with satisfaction, "Good, I will now take your 10 drops of essence blood." Ao Yun looked at Li Xiandao nervously, her mouth trembling slightly, and said, "What do you want to do? Don't do anything reckless. You're not going to cut my body open, are you?" Li Xiandao chuckled and said, "You're overthinking it. Our Heaven and Earth Bank has its own rules, and we don't treat our customers differently. Besides, cutting a person up is too bloody, so we strictly follow the regulations in our actions." Li Xiandao slowly walked towards Ao Yun. A hand landed on Ao Yun's body, immediately closing the distance slightly, and then activated the power of the Heaven and Earth Bank, beginning to slowly drain Ao Yun's bloodline power. Ika! Ao Yun immediately screamed in agony. He felt excruciating pain, as if his entire body had been hollowed out, and even his human form could not be maintained. Rumble! A young ancestral dragon appeared, over 3 meters long, with thick, extremely tough scales. A drop of bright red blood flew out from the top of Ao Yun's head. A drop of essence blood was obtained. Li Xiandao prepared to continue for a second time. "Wait a minute, why don't you just absorb all 10 drops of essence blood at once?" Ao Yun roared angrily. "If I absorbed 10 drops of essence blood at once, you would have died long ago. Essence blood is very important." Therefore, in order to take care of Ao Yun, Li Xiandao specially divided the process into 10 sessions, taking away 1 drop of essence blood each time. This is a very kind approach. But this is the cruelest method. It takes 10 repetitions to extract 10 drops of essence blood, which means he has to endure this intense pain for 10 times. Go ahead and kill him with a knife. Ao Yun lay on the ground, motionless, looking as listless as the men who had to pay their dues every day. No pain, no gain. Enduring a little pressure and pain will help you in the future, Li Xiandao advised Ao Yun, like a life mentor. Hurry up and finish this soon. I need to go back and recuperate for a while. You must fulfill my brother's wish, or you'll be breaking your promise, Ao Yun said stubbornly. Chapter 425 You're just like me in the past. Part 1. Li Xiandao only released Ao Yun after extracting 10 drops of essence blood from her body. At this moment, Ao Yun lay weakly on the ground, his dragon body limp and unable to muster any strength. He really didn't have a single drop left. "All right, you can leave Tiandi Money House now and go back to rest and recover slowly," Li Xiandao said easily, letting Ao Yun leave directly. "You must keep your word," Ao Yun said weakly, staring at Li Xiandao. Rest assured, Tiandi Qianzhuang is honest and trustworthy. Once the contract is signed, we will act in strict accordance with it, Xiandao said firmly. Ao Yun was still not entirely at ease, but since the contract had already been signed and the essence blood had been given, he could only trust Xiandao. The 10 drops of his essence blood severely damaged his vital energy, leaving him with no choice but to return in his true form. After watching Ao Yun leave, Xiandao immediately ordered, "Shao Qi, bring me the 9 dragon eggs of the Purgatory Fire Dragon." Shao Qi nodded and said, "Okay." Turning away, Shao Qi quickly brought back 9 dragon eggs. The dragon egg, half a meter tall, is now filled with incredibly rich essence. Flames surround the egg, burning fiercely, as if it were being boiled. Through the shell of the dragon egg, Xiandao saw the Purgatory Fire Dragon that was being nurtured inside. It had already taken shape, and its body had begun to take shape. It was curled up, and even though it was very small, you could still see its ferocious appearance and domineering expression. Even with his eyes closed, Xiandao felt an overwhelming sense of power, which made him even more eager for their birth. Take out the ancestral dragon's essence blood that you just obtained, and infuse 1 drop of ancestral dragon's essence blood into each dragon egg. 9 drops of essence blood were injected into the 9 dragon eggs. Xiandao still had 1 drop of ancestral dragon essence blood in his hand. He casually tossed it to Shao Qi and said, "Keep it. You might need it later." Shao Qi nodded and put the drop of ancestral dragon's essence blood into the treasury. The dragon egg, infused with the essence of the ancestral dragon, burst into flames in an instant, a truly magnificent sight. Inside the egg, the dragon's soul roared, uttering a silent howl, seemingly trying to break free of the egg and enter this world. Of course, the dragon egg was still very sturdy, and the infernal fire dragon did not hatch properly. After a few silent roars, the dragon's soul inside the dragon egg gradually quieted down, silently absorbing the energy of the ancestral dragon's blood essence. Xiandao looked at it and smiled with satisfaction, saying, "Come out quickly, I really want to see how powerful the dragon race was in ancient times." In the vast ocean of Juntian, there is a restricted area. Within this restricted area, the seawater is calm and tranquil, unlike the turbulent waves outside. Within this vast restricted area lies a massive island, covered in trees, mountains, and peaks, a truly magnificent sight. This is Dragon Island. Near this Dragon Island are 8 smaller islands, which stand in stark contrast to this one. A stark contrast between large and small. These 8 smaller islands are the 8 major clans of the dragon race. The 8 dragon clans are the Divine Dragon Clan, the Fire Dragon Clan, the Water Dragon Clan, the Wind Dragon Clan, the Earth Dragon Clan, the Thunder Dragon Clan, the Azure Dragon Clan, and the Yinglong Clan. Each of the 8 dragon clans has its own island, but they usually gather on the central Dragon Island. In the past, Dragon Island was quiet and peaceful. Everyone slept or cultivated themselves, and no one disturbed anyone else. But now that the Grand Dragon Assembly has begun, the various true dragons of the dragon race can no longer rest and have started to gather on the largest Dragon Island. The Grand Gathering of 10,000 Dragons is a grand gathering of dragon sons and grandsons who are less than 100 years old. They fight and compete against each other, attracting a large crowd of dragons to watch. After all, watching their offspring fight is a great pastime for the somewhat bored dragons on Dragon Island. With the dragons' attention focused entirely on this place, no one noticed the blood dragon's infiltration. The dragon's restrictions are difficult for outsiders, but very simple for the blood dragon, because he grew up on Dragon Island and is extremely familiar with the place. Having easily entered Dragon Island, Blood Dragon was just about to take action when he received an order from Xiandao. Go immediately and help a dragon successfully advance to the 10,000 Dragons Assembly and stay on Dragon Island, Xiandao instructed, while also telling the Blood Dragon about Ao Yun's requirements in detail. Blood Dragon's eyes narrowed. The 10,000 Dragons Assembly will remain on Dragon Island. More than 10,000 years ago, Blood Dragon thought the same thing. He was driven away and begged his father to let him participate in the 10,000 Dragons tournament, confident that he could defeat others and achieve a good ranking. But his father coldly rejected him, saying, "With your mottled bloodline, you'll embarrass yourself at the Wanlong Conference. You'll be defeated in the first round, and you'll have completely disgraced me." The cold and cruel words deeply pierced the heart of the young blood dragon. He still can't forget all of this. And now, another dragon with a mottled bloodline is striving to stay on Dragon Island. He was luckier than Blood Dragon. At least he could stay on Dragon Island and participate in this 10,000 Dragons conference. Even when Blood Dragon knelt down and begged his father, he didn't get this opportunity. "Are you listening?" Xiandao asked, puzzled. "I heard you, Master. I will definitely help him achieve a good ranking and stay on Dragon Island," the Blood Dragon said firmly. "Helping this child fulfilled a regret I had when I was young. If he had been able to participate in the Wanlong Conference back then, even if he had lost, he wouldn't be so resentful. All right, after this task is completed, go and retrieve the Great Wilderness Starfall," Xiandao said calmly. "Yes, Master," Blood Dragon replied respectfully. This child is from the Divine Dragon lineage, and his younger brother is from the Ancestral Dragon lineage. "You can go find them." Xiandao told the Blood Dragon the information and then hung up the communication. The Blood Dragon raised its head and looked at an island belonging to the lineage of the Divine Dragon. Whoosh! The Blood Dragon vanished into thin air, disappearing into the sky, and headed straight for the island of the Dragon Clan. On the island of the Dragon Clan, a slightly bloated dragon is diligently cultivating, absorbing the essence of the sun and moon into its body to purify its bloodline. "I am not willing to be a weakling. I don't want to leave Dragon Island either. I must achieve a good ranking at the Wanlong Conference." The dragon gritted its teeth and frantically absorbed spiritual energy, not caring whether the spiritual energy would damage its body. He was practicing cultivation with a complete disregard for his life. "Tiske, your way of cultivating is wrong." A regretful voice rang out. "Who are you?" The dragon's eyes widened as it warily stared at the man in blood-red clothes before it. "I'm here to change your destiny. Swallow this, and your bloodline will be purified. Then, under my training, I guarantee you will stand out at the 10,000 Dragons Conference in 10 days. The blood dragon took out the bloodline bead that he had previously treasured. Before he could leap over the dragon gate, the bloodline bead was his greatest hope. "Why are you giving this to me?" the dragon asked, puzzled. "Perhaps it's because you're a lot like me in the past," Blood Dragon said with a slight smile. Chapter 426 can only happen once. Part 2. The dragon looked at the blood dragon and finally swallowed the bloodline bead. He chose to believe in Blood Dragon because he was now on the edge of a precipice. In 10 days, if he couldn't defeat his opponent and advance, he would definitely be kicked out. On Dragon Island, no offspring with mixed blood are allowed. The remaining mixed blood descendants were all those who had defeated pure-blooded descendants honorably at the Dragon Assembly. With this kind of strength, staying on Dragon Island would be a good option. Xiaolong Ouchiong had nothing left to lose, but now the blood dragon was giving him a glimmer of hope, which he had to seize. As soon as the bloodline bead entered her stomach, Ao Cheong immediately felt her bloodline burning, her muscles burning, and then her bones seemed to be burning as well. His entire body was burning. The pain was unbearable. He couldn't help but roar, his voice filled with suppressed pain. "I think I'm going to die," Ao Cheong growled, her body in extreme pain, wishing she could cut herself apart. "Bear with it. The bloodline bead has been refined by me and is now extremely powerful. It is improving your body and burning away all the impurities in the areas it contains," the blood dragon explained. Xiaolong Ouchiong gritted her teeth, but still could not bear it, and let out a roar from her throat. "I'm really going to die. If you can't withstand this, then get out of Dragon Island and participate in the 10,000 Dragons Conference. What's the point of staying on Dragon Island? Aren't you still just a useless mixed blood?" Blood Dragon's expression changed as he scolded. Xiaolong Ouchiong glared angrily at the blood dragon, hissing as flames spewed from its nostrils. He was angry, but reason told him that Blood Dragon was right. Even if you managed to stay on Dragon Island by chance, You have no future. You'll be a coward for the rest of your life, trash in other people's eyes, with no status on Dragon Island. Anyone can bully you. Do you really like this kind of life? Blood Dragon asked coldly. Xiaolong Ouchiong gritted her teeth and remained silent. But his expression was no longer so rebellious. He began to seriously consider his situation. In his understanding, the only person willing to help him is the mysterious man in front of him. If this person leaves, no one will help him. Moreover, although the bloodline bead was burning his body, it was essentially helping him improve his bloodline. However, this kind of improvement is a bit hardcore. All the excess impurities have been burned. This is equivalent to putting the dragon Ouchiong in a fire and roasting it severely. Roasted dragon meat. Ouchiong gritted his teeth and endured for a full day and night. His body shrank by half, looking extremely slender. Moreover, the stench on his body disappeared. The impurities in his blood and body were all burned away, turning into black water and becoming a fish pond. In just one day, he truly transformed. Please accept my bow. Ouchiong immediately knelt down before the blood dragon and said loudly, extremely excited. It wasn't just because his bloodline had improved. His strength had also increased significantly. The dragon now possesses the cultivation level of a human immortal. Before burning his bloodline, he was already at the peak of the great sage realm. Now you believe I can help you improve quickly and stay on Dragon Island, right? Blood Dragon said with a smug smile. I believe you, thank you very much, Senior. Ouchiong nodded repeatedly. There are still 9 days until the 10,000 Dragons Conference. You have plenty of time to improve yourself, Blood Dragon said after thinking for a moment. How should we improve next? Ouchiong asked expectantly. Having tasted success, Ouchiong is now even more eager to learn more about Blood Dragon's abilities. Thump. Blood Dragon brought out a furnace, which made the ground tremble and felt extremely heavy. The Great Sun Furnace Cauldron. What are you doing? Ouchiong asked in surprise. Go inside, and I'll stew you in an iron pot. Blood Dragon pointed and smiled slightly. Ouchiong's expression changed, and she took a step back. Can I refuse? A minute later, Ouchiong's screams echoed throughout the area, incessant and utterly desolate. He stewed himself in an iron pot for 9 days, until Ouchiong's blood and veins were filled with fragrance, and she was completely transformed. His bloodline, after 10 days of remedy by the blood dragon and purification by the bloodline pearl, is now comparable to that of an ordinary dragon clan member. 10 days later, Ouchiong transformed into human form, a cold and aloof young man. Looking at the blood dragon, he asked in confusion, even if I resemble the old you, there's no need for you to help me like this, is there? Blood Dragon said calmly, you have a good younger brother. Ouchiong's expression changed, and she asked in shock, you're one of his people? No, but I was the one who brought him here, Blood Dragon said. Ouchiong frowned, seemingly lost in thought. What price did he pay to get you to help me? Ouchiong asked in a dry voice. He gave me 10 drops of the ancestral dragon's essence blood, asking me to help you through this difficult time. The blood dragon looked at Ouchiong with a hint of envy. If he had had a younger brother like that back then, why would he have lived in a daze for over 10,000 years? Ouchiong smiled wryly. This little fool. 10 drops of ancestral dragon's essence blood, and he'll be severely injured, Ouchiong said with heartache. His vital energy has been severely damaged, and he needs to be slowly replenished to recover. He will not be able to advance any further within 3 years, Blood Dragon said. I'm going to see him, Ouchiong suddenly said, turning and leaving. Blood Dragon followed silently, without uttering a word. He and I were twins. Our mother carried us for 1,000 years, but one day, Ao Yun's ancestral dragon bloodline awakened. Because I did not have that bloodline, I was born first. 90 years later, Ao Yun was born. Ouchiong said as she walked, not knowing whether she was speaking to the blood dragon or to herself. After Ao Yun was born, he became the treasure of Dragon Island. Many patriarchs came out to visit him personally. He and I were born from the same womb, but our statuses are worlds apart. Ao Cheong seemed very jealous, but the next moment, his eyes softened. He respects me a lot and is very attached to me. He comes out to play with me whenever he has the chance. Ao Yun is only 10 years old this year, but he has already reached the level of a saint. He has never started cultivating and has been laying a foundation. But his efforts and my 100 years of hard work are in stark contrast. Ao Cheong said with a wry smile. Before the blood dragon came to his aid, he was already at the saint level. 100 years to reach the realm of a sage, that seems acceptable. However, Ao Yun spent 10 years laying the foundation without cultivating, and broke through to the saint realm. This comparison really stung Ao Cheong. I'm jealous of him, and I love him too. He seems to know he'll upset me, so every time he sneaks over to see me this past year, he pretends not to notice and then sneaks away. Ao Cheong sighed. This little fool, we are all at the saint realm, but he hasn't cultivated yet and can't control his aura. He's easy to be discovered, but I didn't say anything, Ao Cheong said quietly. You are lucky to have such a younger brother. If he hadn't taken care of you, you would have been a wanderer. Blood Dragon said calmly. Yes, that's why I will protect my brother. 10 drops of essence blood can only happen once in a lifetime, Ao Cheong said firmly. Chapter 427 I'm Your Uncle. Part 3. Ao Cheong arrived at Ao Yun's residence. Because he is the darling of the entire Dragon Island, he lives in a very luxurious place. On the edge of a cliff, you can open the door and see the boundless sea. Lazy white clouds drift overhead, and the boundless sea lies beneath your feet. Living there feels incredibly majestic. Just as Ao Cheong was about to go in to check on her younger brother, she heard a sound coming from inside. Ao Yun, your brother's first opponent at the 10,000 Dragons tournament, is my subordinate. Do you think I should go easy on him and let your good-for-nothing brother stay on Dragon Island? A smug and arrogant voice rang out. Ao Cheong, standing outside, immediately frowned. He knew who this person was, the second most talented person on Dragon Island. The so-called second genius is actually the worst one, because he will always be trampled underfoot by Ao Yun. This is more painful than the 3rd place and the 10,000th place combined. Others have no hope, so they give up. But is the 2nd place winner willing to give up? He's just one short. If Ao Yun is no longer viable or dies, he'll be number 1. So the second person who had been plotting against Ao Yun found an opportunity and immediately threatened Ao Yun. He knew that Ao Yun cared a lot about his good-for-nothing older brother. Ao Yun's weak voice rang out. Ao Qing, you've misjudged my brother. He's not a good-for-nothing. What else could he be but trash? A mixed blood dragon, he should have been driven out long ago. If it weren't for your precious little brother protecting him, would he still be able to stay on Dragon Island? Ao Qing said disdainfully. If you don't agree to my demands this time, I'll have my men kill your brother. At the 10,000 Dragons Assembly, no one will care if a dragon is killed, Ao Qing said smugly. Or I could have my men spare your brother's life, but once he advances, his next opponent will be me. You can say I'll kill your brother with my own hands. How about that? Ao Qing said coldly. Ao Yun's face turned cold and he shouted. You dare? Do you think I dare? Ao Qing said arrogantly. If you don't agree to give me 10 drops of your own blood essence, I'll personally kill your brother. Don't think that just because you have the bloodline of the ancestral dragon, you can do whatever you want. I have plenty of ways to deal with you. Ao Qing said coldly. You piece of trash who's been eavesdropping outside, you can come in now. Ao Qing sneered. He had already spotted Ao Cheong. Bang! The door was pushed open forcefully by Ao Cheong. He strode in, looking coldly at Ao Qing with anger in his eyes. Especially when she saw her younger brother, whose face was pale, sitting on the bed looking very weak under Ao Qing's imposing aura. Ao Qiong trembled with anger. In other words, he couldn't beat Ao Qing, otherwise Ao Qiong would definitely have intervened. Ao Qiong, you've transformed into human form, and your bloodline has improved quite a bit recently. But I suspect that Ao Yun might have given you his own essence blood, which is why you've improved so much. Ao Qing sneered. He felt something was wrong after seeing the weakened Ao Yun. Don't worry about how I transformed. I just want to tell you that threatening my brother with me is useless. I'm a piece of trash, and you're a piece of trash too. We'll both be trampled under my brother's feet, watching him soar through the heavens, high above all others. You don't understand the power of the ancestral dragon. Ao Qiong said firmly, protecting her brother. What are you saying? Ao Qing gritted his teeth, completely enraged. He was indignant that the ancestral dragon bloodline was in Ao Yun's body and had always wanted to prove that his flame dragon bloodline was in no way inferior, so he worked hard to improve himself. Ao Qiong's words provoked him. I said you and I are both good-for-nothings, destined to be trampled underfoot by Ao Yun. But I am willing to be trampled underfoot by my younger brother, while you are extremely unwilling, aren't you? Ao Qiong sneered, looking at Ao Qing with arrogant eyes. You're courting death. A murderous glint flashed in Ao Qing's eyes, and he reached out to grab. Raging flames spread across his palm and erupted with tremendous power. Like Ao Qiong, he was born 100 years ago and has been cultivating diligently, consuming countless resources to replenish himself. His cultivation has reached the 33rd step of the legendary realm, just one step away from breaking through to the cave heaven realm. Although Ao Qiong had undergone 10 days of extreme training with the blood dragon, she had only just broken through to the legendary realm and was no match for him in the first step. Even under Ao Qing's oppressive aura, Ao Qiong was unable to move and her face turned pale. Brother! Ao Yun exclaimed in surprise, looking at him with concern. Boom! The palm strike ultimately didn't land on Ao Qiong, but instead struck the blood dragon. The intense flames instantly engulfed the blood dragon's body. Who are you? Ao Qing asked, frowning. He hadn't noticed the blood dragon earlier. With blood dragon's current level of power, it would be incredibly easy for him to remain undetected. Your name is Ao Qing. Is your father named Ao Longyun? Blood dragon asked calmly. You know my father? Ao Qing asked, frowning. Indeed, like father, like son. You and your father are exactly the same domineering, Blood Dragon remarked. Stop pretending to be an elder here. If you take one of my flaming palm strikes, the flames will immediately burn your internal organs. You're already in grave danger, Ao Qing sneered. Blazing palm, is this it? The blood dragon suddenly opened its mouth and spat out a ball of flame, which directly set Ao Qing's hair ablaze. How is that possible? My blazing palm is not to be underestimated even by those at the cave heaven realm. Ao Qing exclaimed in shock. Who exactly are you? Ao Qing shouted, slowly backing away as he began to feel afraid. I am your uncle. I will spare your life today. Now get out of here, Blood Dragon said coldly. Bullshit. I don't have an uncle like you. My uncles are not people you can associate with. Ao Qing cursed and was extremely angry, but his legs still told him to leave quickly. Even if we don't kill him, we should give him a good beating and teach him a lesson he won't forget, Ao Qiong said, dissatisfied. He is indeed my nephew. How can an uncle kill his own nephew? If anyone should be killed, it should be his father, my elder brother. A cold smile appeared on Blood Dragon's face. Ao Qiong and Ao Yun suddenly fell silent. Are you the Blood Dragon? Ao Yun asked weakly. Yes, my master sent me. Now your brother is almost indistinguishable from an ordinary dragon. I have fulfilled my master's promise to you. But, would you like to take it a step further? The Blood Dragon asked, a smirk playing on its lips. What do you mean? Ao Qiong and Ao Yun looked at each other, puzzled as they stared at the blood dragon. Ao Qing is so arrogant, don't you want to kill him? Blood Dragon asked Ao Cheong. Didn't you just say he was your nephew? Ao Cheong asked, bewildered. I only said I didn't want to kill my own blood relatives. But you can, Blood Dragon said with a smile. I want to kill Ao Qing, Ao Cheong said firmly. You want to make a deal with my brother? Ao Yun immediately guessed. Yes, the person you're dealing with this time is your brother. Blood Dragon nodded. He was trying to drum up business for the Heaven and Earth Bank. Chapter 428 Mother's Letter. Part 4. Inside the Heaven and Earth Bank, Li Xiandao and Xiao Qi witnessed this scene. Are you accepting this guest? Xiao Qi asked. Why not accept it? Li Xiandao countered. I don't have a pocket watch, Xiao Qi said. You can send one over there and let the Blood Dragon cause trouble. Anyway, it's the descendants of the Fire Dragon clan that are going to be killed, Li Xiandao said indifferently. The Fire Dragon clan chief forcibly took Li Xiandao's great wilderness starfall and refused to return it, which made Li Xiandao very angry. Now, let the Blood Dragon cause trouble. It's good if it makes a big fuss, so that the Fire Dragon clan chief knows how powerful he is. Okay, Xiaoqi agreed. Inside Ao Yun's room, Ao Cheong looked at Xue Long and her younger brother with a puzzled expression and asked, What kind of deal? Buzz. A blood-red pocket watch appeared out of thin air in front of Ao Cheong. Blood Dragon said, Take the pocket watch, crush it, then enter the Heaven and Earth Bank and tell them you want to become powerful. What price will my brother have to pay? Ao Yun asked worriedly. Life. You are a dragon. Although your bloodline is not good, after my treatment, you are still doing all right. You still have a lifespan of 50,000 years. You can give up your life to gain cultivation, and then you can defeat Ao Qing, the Blood Dragon suggested. Ao Cheong looked at the pocket watch, her face full of surprise, and said, There are places like this? You'll know when you get there, Blood Dragon said with a smile. Click. Ao Cheong crushed the pocket watch, her body slowly fading away and disappearing from the room. Blood Dragon and Ao Yun watched silently, without uttering a word. Inside the Heaven and Earth Bank, in the main trading hall, Li Xiandao looked at the reserved Ao Cheong before him and asked, What do you wish to trade? Cultivation. I need cultivation. Ao Cheong gritted her teeth and said, I can give you 1,000 years to cultivate. Only 10 minutes have passed in the outside world. How far you can cultivate depends on yourself, Li Xiandao said calmly. What do I need to give up? Ao Cheong's eyes lit up. This was a good idea, but she immediately began to worry. How many years of her lifespan would she have to give up? 10,000 years. Li Xiandao held up one finger. Ao Cheong's breath hitched. She had exchanged 10,000 years of lifespan for 1,000 years of time. One more thing, 10,000 years is a complete period, and the 1,000 years that were consumed were paid for by yourself, Li Xiandao added. To put it simply, Li Xiandao threw Ao Cheong into the Time Palace to spend 1,000 years cultivating diligently. This 10,000 years of lifespan wasn't bought with powerful cultivation. It was merely an entry ticket to the Hall of Time. Because Ao Cheong paid for the time she would spend inside, 1,000 years, and then cultivated for another 1,000 years, for a total of 2,000 years. Li Xiandao did nothing but sell the right to use a time palace. He gained 10,000 years of lifespan. It's very profitable. Li Xiandao was also a little reluctant, otherwise he could have asked for 20,000 years. Because she is of dragon blood, Ao Cheong has a lifespan of over 50,000 years. Even if it means losing 10,000 years, it's entirely within my means. But considering his identical experience with the Blood Dragon, Li Xiandao wasn't that greedy. I agree. After careful consideration, Ao Cheong nodded in agreement. Okay, sign this contract. Xiao Qi handed the prepared contract to Li Xiandao, who then handed it to Ao Cheong. Just like Ao Yun, Ao Cheong checked the document several times to make sure it was correct before signing it. Now, I will draw upon 11,000 years of my lifespan. 10,000 years will be my reward, and 1,000 years will be the time I burn, Xiandao said, standing up. Ao Cheung nodded and said firmly, "Come on, I'm not afraid of pain." Xiandao said casually, "Extracting lifespan is painless, but extracting essence and blood is excruciatingly painful. Your brother endured it 10 times for you, which shows his true love for you." Xiandao sighed with emotion at the two brothers, one of noble birth and the other of mixed blood, yet their bond was unbreakable. No wonder we were in the same belly. With a painless extraction of life force, Xiandao simply flicked his sleeve and sent Ao Cheung to the Time Palace. Then, 1,000 years later, it begins. Work hard and cherish every moment, Xiandao said as he finished speaking, then severed the connection between the Time Palace and the outside world. Time passed second by second. 10 minutes later, Ao Cheung, with a weary look in her eyes, walked out of the Time Palace, as if from another world. "You can leave now." Xiandao saw him out, then looked at Xiaoqi, took off his mask and smiled. "See, it's that simple, 10,000 years is all we need." Xiaoqi rolled her eyes at Xiandao, exuding charm. When Ao Cheung opened her eyes, she was back in Ao Yun's room. He looked around, his eyes filled with a sense of weariness. "Brother, what's wrong?" Ao Yun asked worriedly. "How long have I been gone?" Ao Cheung asked. "A quarter of an hour," Ao Yun said after thinking for a moment. A quarter of an hour. Ao Cheung now truly believed that she had spent 1,000 years in a room brimming with spiritual energy. For the past 1,000 years, he has always worn the bloodline bead given to him by the blood dragon. The current Ao Cheung has transformed. "Brother, I will definitely advance in tomorrow's 10,000 Dragons tournament and kill Ao Qing." Ao Cheung clenched her fist and said firmly. Blood Dragon watched from the side, his eyes narrowing. Once Ao Cheung kills Ao Qing, he will also make his move. "It's getting dark. Get some rest. I have some errands to run. See you tomorrow morning." Blood Dragon thought for a moment, then got up and left. The Blood Dragon flew on Dragon Island, exuding the scent of a true dragon. Everyone thought he was one of their own kind on Dragon Island, and no one noticed that he was a blood dragon. The Blood Dragon arrived at a certain place. His mother's residence. Blood Dragon wanted to see his mother. She was the only person on Dragon Island who had ever been kind to him. Blood Dragon only has a mother, and Ao Cheung only has a younger brother. No wonder Blood Dragon helped Ao Cheung enter the Heaven and Earth Bank to exchange for a chance to kill Ao Qing. Because the two people look so alike. But his mother's former residence is now empty, and the things inside are dilapidated and covered in dust. No one has lived here for a long time. "Mother." Blood Dragon noticed an envelope pressed against the bedside table with a complicated expression. Upon opening the letter, she found that she had been kept in the dark and was unaware that Blood Dragon had been expelled from Dragon Island. When she found out, she immediately turned against the Fire Dragon clan chief and severed all ties with him. Blood Dragon's mother also left Dragon Island without taking anything with her. As Shuilong read the letter, tears streamed down his face, because one sentence in the letter touched him deeply. "My son and I are connected by blood. He is a piece of my flesh, an inseparable part of me. I know my son. He will definitely have great abilities and will definitely stand out from the crowd. When he returns to Dragon Island one day, he will hold his head high and declare that he has returned. I am leaving this letter to my son." Upon hearing this, Blood Dragon burst into tears instantly. Trembling, he carefully put away the letter, wiped away his tears, and gritted his teeth, saying, "Mother, tomorrow I will let the Dragon Clan know that you did not give birth to a useless child. You gave birth to the second blood dragon in the history of the Dragon Clan." Chapter 429 The Grand Gathering of 10,000 Dragons. Part 5. Clang. 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 3 loud chimes heralded the start of the one-long conference. Rumble. Countless true dragons, divine dragons, and young dragons flew out, extremely excited, as the once-in-a-century grand assembly of 10,000 dragons had finally begun. On the largest dragon island, there is a tall and magnificent palace, especially the 2 white jade steps, on both sides of which are stuck countless weapons. Knife, axe, sword, spear, halberd, lance, hammer, rope. These weapons were enormous, making it seem as if one had entered a world inhabited by giants. This is the Hall of 10,000 Dragons. The total number of members from the 8 major dragon clans has just exceeded 10,000, so this grand gathering of 10,000 dragons is indeed worthy of its name. In front of the main hall are 8 enormous thrones, representing the 8 clan leaders. Below are countless seats, enough for any dragon that can take human form to sit down. Those that cannot take form hover in the back, where they have a foothold and can be observed from a distance. This grand event attracted countless dragons to fly through the sky, creating a lively atmosphere. Dragons, which are rarely seen, all appeared at this moment. Fire dragon, divine dragon, earth dragon, water dragon, wind dragon, and so on. They all roared in the air, making a tremendous noise. Knock, knock, knock. 3 voices rang out, immediately silencing them. One by one, they transformed into human form and sat down in their seats. In the distance, the 8 clan leaders arrived together. They are the Divine Dragon Clan, the Fire Dragon Clan, the Water Dragon Clan, the Wind Dragon Clan, the Earth Dragon Clan, the Thunder Dragon Clan, the Azure Dragon Clan, and the Yinglong Clan. Among the 8 clan leaders, the Divine Dragon Clan leader is undoubtedly number 1, while the Azure Dragon Clan leader is number 2. The 2 of them sit in the 2 most central positions. The others took their seats. The Fire Dragon Clan chief was a dignified, imposing middle-aged man with a robust build whose muscles bulged his clothes. He sat there, squinting, with no expression. Even from a great distance, Blood Dragon recognized him immediately as his father. They gave him life, then personally pushed him into an abyss from which he could not escape. He certainly knew that his other brothers had joined forces to suppress the Blood Dragon, but he did not punish them and even acted as if nothing had happened. This father is extremely cold-blooded. Blood Dragon's gaze went unnoticed because at that moment, countless eyes were fixed on the 8 clan leaders, and they wouldn't bother to discern the source of each gaze individually. The 10,000 Dragons Assembly is about to begin, an old man announced loudly as he walked up the white jade steps. Brush. Now, everyone's eyes were drawn to the battlefield, below the white jade steps. It was a platform stained with blood that could not be wiped away. It looked extremely ancient, yet it exuded an aura of vicissitude. Blood-stained steps, weapons strewn about, a magnificent palace, a vast battlefield. Compared to the steps on this battlefield, the white jade steps are like a young lady of noble birth, delicate and beautiful. The stone steps at the edge of this battlefield are like seasoned warriors guarding this land, exuding a fierce aura. The competition is now starting. First, please invite Outcheong and Aoti to the stage, the old man announced loudly. Brother, you're the first one, Ao Yun said in surprise. The first one is fine too. I can kill him and then immediately challenge Ao Ching. Ao Cheong stood up and strode out. Don't hold back, kill them if you must. I'm behind you. If anything happens, I'll cover for you. Blood Dragon's whispered words reached Ao Cheong's ears, extremely ruthless. This is to force Ao Cheong to kill him. Ao Cheong stopped in his tracks, but in an instant, he stepped onto the battlefield. Standing alone, waiting for the arrival of the arrogant body. Among the 8 clan leaders, the leader of the Divine Dragon Clan saw his son go on stage. His eyes flashed, but he didn't say anything. Dragon Clan Chief, isn't it a bit disgraceful of you to put your own son up first? The Fire Dragon Clan Chief chuckled, seemingly asking a question but actually mocking. I'm not as ruthless as the Fire Dragon Clan Chief, who doesn't even give his son a chance, the Divine Dragon Clan Chief said calmly. What kind of opportunity? The Fire Dragon Clan Chief sneered, an opportunity to lose face? Your son is about to lose face. If I had agreed back then, I would be the one who would have lost face, the Fire Dragon Clan chief said smugly. The other clan leaders watched silently, without uttering a word. The Dragon Clan chief's face was grim. He was enraged by the Fire Dragon Clan chief, but he still watched silently. I can give Aoqiong a chance. It doesn't matter if she loses face for her son. Even tigers don't eat their cubs. Our Fire Dragon Clan chief is even more ruthless than tigers and other wild beasts. I admire him. The Divine Dragon Clan chief looked at the Fire Dragon Clan chief and said with a mocking smile. This is mocking the Fire Dragon Clan chief for not even giving his son a chance, and for kicking him out directly. The Fire Dragon Clan chief looked on with a gloomy expression. On the battlefield, Aot arrived. Before he came up, Aoqiong called him over and gave him a few instructions. Then, she looked at Aoqiong with a cold smile and lightly slashed her neck. You're dead. This is Aoqiong warning Aoqiong. So you're Aoqiong. My boss told me to give you a good beating, destroy your dantian, and cripple you for life, Aot sneered. Aoqiong looked at her expressionlessly. Are you done? You're pretty arrogant. Ah. Aoti's face turned angry, and she slapped him directly, but in an instant, Aoqiong's body moved, and the power hidden beneath the volcano immediately erupted. This was a power he hadn't anticipated, and it erupted without even the 8 clan leaders noticing. It's not that they didn't notice, it's just that they never really paid attention to Aoqiong, which is why they overlooked the enormous energy within her body. In that instant, with a snap, Aoti's head was broken off by Aoqiong, and his soul was shattered in the process. Proud body, die. The speed was so fast that no one could react in time. In the blink of an eye, Aot was dead. Aoqiong stood up abruptly, shocked, and exclaimed, 30 steps into the legendary realm. What Aoqiong just used was the power of the legendary 30 steps. It's terrifying and incredibly powerful. Killing a legendary 20-step arrogant body would be a piece of cake for them. No, it's not the legendary 30 steps. Aoqiong is still hiding something, the old patriarch said with certainty, having seen it clearly. Although it's unclear what kind of cultivation technique Aoqiong used to conceal her power, the fact that she could keep these clan leaders from discovering it for a while is already quite impressive. What is he doing? He killed a descendant of the Dragon Clan in one fell swoop. He is simply a demon and must be severely punished, the Fire Dragon Clan chief roared. I don't need to repeat what your grandson just told Aot, do I? The Dragon Clan chief said coldly. Very well, since that's the case, Aoqiong, his next opponent is you. Go up and kill him. The Fire Dragon Clan chief, with his fiery temper, roared immediately. You. The Dragon Clan chief glared angrily at the Fire Dragon Clan chief. The other clan leaders all looked at the Fire Dragon Clan leader with dissatisfaction. He started the killing first, so don't blame me, the Fire Dragon Clan chief said coldly, showing no sign of backing down. He believed his grandson could kill Aoqiong. Upon hearing his clan elder grandfather's words, Aoqiong's spirits lifted, and he excitedly flashed to the battlefield, coldly declaring, I've come to kill you. Aoqiong's expression suddenly relaxed, and she gave a cold smile, saying, I've been waiting for you all along. Chapter 430 Big Brother. Do you remember your little brother? Part 6. Aoqiong sneered. Even if your cultivation has reached the 30th step of the legendary realm, in my eyes, that's all. Whether it's just that or not, you'll find out if you try it yourself, Aoqiong said coldly. All right, I'm coming to kill you now. Aoqiong took a step forward, and the battlefield trembled violently. Wind and cloud surged, and rolling flames rose from his body, transforming into a fire dragon that charged forward. Take this, wildfire, attack. Aoqiong let out a low roar and charged out. Flames condensed into a fire dragon, enveloping Aoqiong as they charged together. Rumble. This scene was terrifying. A huge fire dragon, bearing its fangs and claws, seemed ready to devour people. Seeing this, the Fire Dragon Clan chief smiled with satisfaction and said, This is the difference between pure blood and mixed blood. The Dragon Clan chief sneered. You haven't even given Ao Cheung a second glance from the beginning until now. If you had, you wouldn't have said such things. The Fire Dragon Clan chief frowned. What did he mean by that? He couldn't help but look at Ao Cheung. At first glance, it appears to be just an ordinary, legendary 30-step power. However, after staring at him for 2 seconds, he saw through Ao Cheung's strength. The realm of Grotto Heavens. The Fire Dragon Clan chief's expression immediately changed, and he exclaimed in disbelief, "Impossible!" The next second, Ao Cheung unleashed her power. In the past, besides stabilizing my bloodline and improving my cultivation, I also specifically learned a killing technique, Ao Cheung said coldly. Now, please try boundary-breaking strike. At this moment, Ao Cheung unleashed her full potential, reaching the Cave Heaven realm. The Cave Heaven realm is nothing special on Dragon Island. But at this moment, everyone was surprised. It's like a closed volcano that you've known since childhood, suddenly erupting. You'd naturally be surprised. This is what Ao Cheung is like now. His power erupted, and in that instant, he was like a shadow, as if he and his shadow were separated. The shadow remained in place, but his body appeared in mid-air, and all the power in his body struck his fingers. The sudden strike was aimed at Ao Cheung's brow. A spurt of blood flew through the air, and the fire dragon roared suddenly. Its body went limp, and it vanished without a trace. Ao Cheung's body froze in mid-air as Ao Cheung's finger touched his brow. A bloody hole appeared. This bloody hole was the wound that would cost Ao Cheung her life. Ao Cheung stared at Ao Cheung with disbelief in his eyes. He couldn't understand why Ao Cheung, who was a mixed blood before, could kill him. Ao Cheung had no way of answering this question. He simply watched silently, a sense of worthiness welling up inside him. The power gained at the cost of over 10,000 years of life allowed Ao Cheung to stand, while Ao Cheung fell to the ground. Bang! This fall, too, struck a chord in the hearts of some. The Fire Dragon Clan chief staggered, his eyes wide with rage and bloodshot, and roared, "This is impossible! The facts are right before your eyes. You saw it with your own eyes. How could it be fake?" The Dragon Clan chief said coldly. Ao Cheung must have been possessed by a demon. Once I kill this demon, the truth will come out. At this moment, a middle-aged man walked over with a powerful stride, his eyes cold and sharp. He stared at Ao Cheung and, without saying a word, slapped her across the face. Rumble. This is the power of an emperor, the so-called power of a great emperor, which Ao Cheung simply cannot withstand. Ao Longyun, you've gone too far. The Dragon Clan chief was immediately enraged and was about to attack. But the Fire Dragon Clan chief stopped him, his face grim, and said, "I think he's right. Everyone knows what Ao Cheung was like before, a good-for-nothing. Now this good-for-nothing can kill Ao Cheung. What else could it be but possession? You're courting death. You want to fight me." The Dragon Clan chief glared at the Fire Dragon Clan chief. The Fire Dragon Clan chief sneered. He didn't need to delay for long. A second would suffice. His son, Ao Longyun, was enough to kill Ao Chi. But a second passed. Ao Longyun didn't kill Ao Cheung. Instead, he was directly blasted away by a powerful aura. Yes, Ao Longyun, who was at the emperor level, was directly knocked away. The slap he delivered in anger just now caused the heavens and earth to change color, the sun and moon to dim and lose their light, and the sky and the surrounding fields seemed to fall. Ao Cheung could not withstand such an attack. But just as he was in despair, a blood-red figure appeared before him, its face cold, and it opened its mouth and said directly, "Get lost." Boom. A tremendous force slammed directly into Ao Longyun's body, like a water column hitting an iron hammer, instantly sending water flying everywhere. Puff. Ao Longyun's internal organs were severely injured, and he looked at the blood dragon with shock and anger. "Who the hell are you?" Ao Longyun said angrily, glaring at the blood dragon. He had a fiery temper and could not suppress his anger. People of the Fire Dragon clan are generally like this. They have extremely explosive tempers. Ao Long Yun is the same as Ao Qing. Enraged by the murder of his son, Ao Long Yun rushed out and tried to kill Ao Cheong. However, the slap had no power whatsoever against the Blood Dragon's aura, and it didn't even shatter the Blood Dragon's defensive shield. At this moment, everyone's eyes were fixed on Blood Dragon. This includes the 8 clan chiefs. When the Fire Dragon clan chief saw that his son had not yet killed Ao Cheong, he was shocked. He turned his head and saw that Ao Long Yun had been knocked away, and the person who knocked him away didn't even make a move. The Fire Dragon clan chief was stunned. His son is at least at the first level of Emperor. This is not one of our Dragon Island's people. Upon closer inspection, the Fire Dragon clan chief flew into a rage and was about to kill the Blood Dragon. Wait a little longer, let's see first. This time it was the Dragon clan chief's turn to stop him. He reached out and grabbed the Fire Dragon clan chief, saying coldly, "You." The Fire Dragon clan chief glared at the Divine Dragon clan chief. What goes around comes around. He never expected retribution to come so quickly. Outsiders have infiltrated Dragon Island. The Fire Dragon clan chief roared. The Dragon clan chief looked at the Blood Dragon. Then suddenly a smirk appeared on his lips. "Are you so sure he's an outsider?" The Fire Dragon clan chief was taken aback and immediately looked at the Blood Dragon. "I don't know him. Not from Dragon Island." Upon closer inspection, the Fire Dragon clan chief frowned suddenly. He suddenly realized that the handsome young man in front of him looked a lot like one of his lovers. The Fire Dragon clan chief had long forgotten his lover, who had been gone for over 10,000 years, but now upon seeing the Blood Dragon, he remembered her. "No." The Fire Dragon clan chief shook his head, resolutely disbelieving his own guess. On the battlefield, after Blood Dragon knocked Ao Long Yun away, he took a step forward. With a thud, endless blood surged out behind him, turning into an endless sea of blood that spread across the entire battlefield and then stirred up endless waves of blood. Rumble. It was an extremely horrifying scene, but the blood didn't have that bloody smell. Instead, it had a strange fragrance that made people take a deep breath and linger in their memory. Blood Wave pushed Blood Dragon, and looked at Ao Long Yun with a cold expression, saying, "It's been more than 10,000 years. Big brother really has a bad memory. You've forgotten your younger brother."